Dad, Dad, look how big. It's such an incredibly simple, innocent line, right? But it's exactly how we open this explainer on a scene draft from the Moon Child. Young Eli is just looking at a full moon rising over the water. But right off the bat, the text hits us with this heavy, immediate tension. On one hand, you've got this pure awe of a child staring up at the night sky. And on the other, it's instantly contrasted with the absolute crushing weight of whatever his father, James, is carrying around inside. And that weight, well, it's defined by a ticking clock. 3 days, 3 more nights. The source text makes it literally impossible to ignore that time is running out. We're told that destiny is coming for him, and because of this massive looming deadline, James isn't even counting time in normal days anymore. Actually, he's shifted to counting in moons. So that full moon over the water, it's one of his final 3. That little detail establishes the incredibly high stakes before the action even really kicks off. He knows his time is finite, and he is absolutely refusing to spend this particular moon inside. The Moon Child, a scene deconstruction. Today, we're going to peel back the layers of this fascinating scene and see exactly how the author takes a totally relatable human moment and twists it into a deep, otherworldly mystery. So, first up is the emotional anchor of the scene, the wolf pack. Right before any of the weird mystery stuff takes hold, we're anchored out on the beach with this deeply emotional father-son moment. They walk out onto the sand, and the text describes the moon laying a road across the water straight to their feet, which, if you've ever stood on a shore at night, you know exactly what that feels like. It's isolating, yet it's this universally shared experience. And right here, James uses this setting to teach Eli something pretty fundamental. He asks him if he knows what wolves do.
Eli answers that wolves howl so the other wolves know where they are, but James takes it a step further. He looks out at that moon road on the water and says, even the ones way out there, even the ones you can't see, you howl, and somewhere out there, somebody hears it and knows I'm not the only one. He's teaching his son that sending your voice out into the dark, it's a primary mechanism for seeking connection. It's basically about survival against loneliness.
And this sets up such a powerful contrast between our two characters. Eli tilts his head back and just howls. The text describes the sound as small and high and completely unguarded. It explicitly notes that this is the kind of sound you can only make before the world teaches you to be embarrassed of it. It's just pure, raw innocence. Now, James, who we quickly figure out is this highly analytical researcher, lifts his phone to capture this fleeting, totally unguarded moment. Then, in just this beautiful act of solidarity, James tilts his own head back and joins in. They're standing there howling like the last 2 wolves of a scattered pack. Or, maybe the first 2 of a new one. Nobody forced them to do it. That freedom was the whole point. Now for the anomaly. Is it a pattern or is it a signal? This is where we pivot from that deep emotional resonance right into true suspense. James posts the 31-second video of their howling without a caption, not really overthinking it. But later, after Eli is asleep, James watches the video back. And that's when the anomaly appears. That's when the analytical researcher inside him is suddenly activated and totally challenged by what's on his screen. To really get James's reaction here, we need to understand a crucial concept, pareidolia. This is the psychological tendency to see meaningful images in random patterns. Think about, seeing faces in a piece of toast or shapes in the clouds. The text makes a point of telling us James knows exactly what clouds are. He spent literally 2 books worth of his life studying the psychological nuances of pareidolia. He knows it completely, the same way another character in the story, Camden, knows physics. This is huge because it grounds the fantasy elements that are coming up in real-world psychology. James isn't some gullible guy. He's a highly trained observer who is desperately fighting his own rationality right now. So the whole crux of the scene is this intense internal conflict. On one side, we have the pattern, the thing the human eye desperately tries to assemble out of pure chaos. On the other side, we have the signal, what is actually verifiably there. James is just staring at his phone, trying to rationally categorize a shape forming in a cloud. His brain really wants to dismiss it as a pattern, just pareidolia, right? But his researcher's intuition is screaming that this might actually be a real signal. Let's slow things down a second and look at exactly what James is hyper-focusing on during this 31-second loop. Step 1. He watches Eli's chin tilt up. Step 2. He hears that unguarded howl go out. Step 3. He sees the reflection of the moon road on the water. And then, Step 4. Something in the upper corner of the video frame pulls his eye. The text specifically notes it pulls his eye the way the anomaly used to pull Camden's in the story. It's just a cloud, long-bodied, riding the wind off the Gulf. But as the moonlight catches the edge of this cloud, the visual anomaly takes on a distinct, impossible shape. James sees a head, a neck, a forelimb, extended, reaching. Literally a dragon with its hands stretched out toward the moon. He just sits there, very still. Because despite all his deep knowledge of pareidolia, this image is just too specific, too deliberate. It completely disrupts his entire analytical worldview. He watches this cloud on that looping video for a long time. And the text tells us he does the only honest thing a researcher can do with a signal he can't verify and can't dismiss. He goes back and adds a caption to the video he posted earlier. He types, "Behemoth, is that you?" And he hits publish. He's putting it out into the world, honestly, a lot like a howl into the dark. He's asking if anyone else sees the signal he's seeing. He's basically assigning a name, Behemoth, to the completely unexplainable. And suddenly, the whole thing connects. The meta-narrative just takes over. James can't dismiss this dragon-shaped cloud because it links directly to his own internal lore. He remembers an old telescope photo from research nights with ether eyes, a shape they pulled and enhanced, but neither would ever actually commit to naming. The long body, the reach. And what's wild is it also connects to the bedtime story James tells Eli every single night, a story about a nameless ship, an old node at the edge of the map, and things at the boundary that know when they've been seen. James realizes the cloud in his video looks exactly like something that knows it's been seen. Which brings us to the absolute most chilling realization of this entire explainer. As the Moon Child sleeps down the hall, James starts thinking about those 3 remaining nights. The bedtime story he's telling Eli isn't finished yet, right? The ship still doesn't have its name. But watching this dragon reach for the moon on a loop, James suddenly understands something just terrifying and profound. The story has agency. It isn't just some tale he is making up on the spot. The story knows that there were only 3 nights left. It has always known exactly how many nights it had. So that leaves us with the core mystery. The countdown is firmly established. 3 nights. An anomaly in the sky that knows it's being watched. A story that is quite literally pacing itself to match the ticking clock of destiny. I want to leave you with a haunting question that this text sets up so perfectly. What name is the story saving for last? What actually happens when this countdown hits 0? It's an absolutely brilliant piece of writing that takes us from a simple father and son howling on a beach to a reality-bending mystery, and it for sure leaves us desperately needing to find out what happens on that final night.